Welcome to the show. This is Future Shock Edward St. Pé here with you, and I'm your host on this adventure into the world of, well, I don't know, I guess we'd call it the world of AI. We cover other things too. Now, today, I promise you, we're going to get to that interview that we failed to show you yesterday. It's another segment of the interview with Sam Altman from his speech at Stanford a couple of weeks ago. And we showed some clips last week, and yesterday we ran out of time. But we'll show a clip, Sam Altman being interviewed by an entrepreneurial group which is based at Stanford. And so he was their guest, and he talked a good while. He talked about ChatGPT-5 and other things that are coming. So, you know, we talk a lot about ChatGPT-4, OpenAI, Sam Altman, all of those guys, because it's such a, they've kind of won out in this preliminary first salvo of the world of AI. ChatGPT-4 is the thing out there, and you know, I don't want to belabor the point. We show the graphics almost every day. Clarence, here's an example of an element that we used to create a Magic Hour channel, a new logo, or at least a new variation on it. And it also has the music under it. Now, the music was created by Udio, which is another music text-to-music app, okay? I prompted in what I wanted. In this particular case, I think I wanted a choral arrangement, right? So it came back with a choral arrangement and the music, sort of an orchestral piece. And then the graphic that I used was from DALL-E, which is ChatGPT-4. So I don't know if we've got it. Do we have it, Clarence? Okay, pop up whatever you do have. Let's take a look. Now, whatever he's got up here will be an AI rendition of the project. Now, this is the Magic Hour channel that I'm talking about. This is a channel that we are running on channel 7.2 over the air here at Ocean 7, but we're also streaming it. And so it's a 24-hour, 24/7 movie channel. And let's go to it, Clarence, whenever you can find it. And just pop it on up there, please, because I've been talking now for about 3 minutes waiting for you to get it up there.
It's the magic hour. Linger a while and dream. It's our magic hour. Let's escape the mundane scene. Linger a while and dream. Let's escape the mundane scene.
Well, that last image, that was our logo that we've been using. The film reel was file footage that I used, but the singing on top of that was Udio. UDIO. So I texted in the type of music I wanted and the lyrics, and it came back with that female vocalist and that music. Now, the one that I wanted to show was the new logo with the new music from Udio. Let's see if we've got that. Clarence, have you got that? I don't know if we're ever going to get that up, but if we don't get it this time, we're just going to forego it until later in the show. But I want to show you that new logo, and I want to show you the new music. Now, all of that's being created with AI. So the thrust of what I'm trying to get across is there's a practical example of how it can be used, at least in TV. There are so many applications across so many frontiers that AI can be used. Now, let's hope that we will be able to go to Sam Altman right now for a continuation of his interview at Stanford a couple of weeks ago. Let's take a look.
And gang, I know there's tons of questions for Sam. In a few moments, I'll be turning it up, so start thinking about your questions. A big focus on Stanford right now is ethics. And can we talk about how you perceive the dangers of AGI, and specifically, do you think the biggest danger from AGI is going to come from a cataclysmic event which makes all the papers, or is it going to be more subtle and pernicious, sort of like like how everybody has ADD right now from using TikTok? Right. Are you more concerned about the subtle dangers or the cataclysmic dangers? Or neither?
I'm more concerned about the subtle dangers because I think we're more likely to overlook those. The cataclysmic dangers, a lot of people talk about and a lot of people think about. And I don't want to minimize those. I think they're really serious and a real thing. But I think we at least know to look out for that and spend a lot of effort. The example you gave of everybody getting ADD from TikTok or whatever, I don't think we knew to look out for. And that's a really hard, the unknown unknowns are really hard, and so I'd worry more about those, although I worry about both.
And are they unknown unknowns? Are there any that you can name that you're particularly worried about?
Well, then I would they'd be unknown unknown.
Well, you can.
I am worried just about, so even though I think in the short term things change less than we think, as with other major technologies, in the long term I think they change more than we think. And I am worried about what rate society can adapt to something so new and how long it'll take us to figure out the new social contract versus how long we get to do it. I'm worried about that.
Okay. I'm gonna open it up soon. So I want to ask you a question about one of the key things that we're now trying to inculcate into the curriculum as things change so rapidly is resilience.
That's really good.
And you know, and the cornerstone of resilience is self-awareness. And I'm wondering if you feel that you're pretty self-aware of your driving motivations as you are embarking on this journey.
So first of all, I think I believe resilience can be taught. I believe it has long been one of the most important life skills. And in the future, I think over the next couple of decades, I think resilience and adaptability will be more important than they've been in a very long time. So I think that's really great. On the self-awareness question, I think I'm self-aware, but I think like everybody thinks they're self-aware, and whether I am or not is sort of like hard to say from the inside.
And can I ask you sort of the questions that we ask in our intro classes on self-awareness?
Sure.
It's like the Peter Drucker framework. So what do you think your greatest strengths are, Sam?
I think I'm not great at many things, but I'm good at a lot of things, and I think breadth has become an underrated thing in the world. Everyone gets like hyper specialized. So if you're good at a lot of things, you can seek connections across them. I think you can then kind of come up with the ideas that are different than everybody else has, or that sort of the experts in one area have.
And what are your most dangerous weaknesses?
Most dangerous, that's an interesting framework for it. I think I have like a general bias to be too pro-technology.
Further diversifying.
Okay, well, Clarence, thank you for that advance notice there. Thank you. Let's go back to Sam Altman because we're still working on that. Let's go back to Sam Altman.
That good thing, but I think that is a worldview that has overall served me and others well, and thus gotten like a lot of positive reinforcement, and is not always true. And when it's not been true, has been like pretty bad for a lot of people.
And then Harvard psychologist David McClelland has this framework that all leaders are driven by one of three primal needs: a need for affiliation, which is a need to be liked, a need for achievement, and a need for power. If you had to rank list those, what would be yours?
I think at various times in my career, all of those, I think they're these like levels that people go through. At this point, I feel driven by like wanting to do something useful and interesting.
Okay. And
But I think I definitely had like the money and the power and the status phases.
Okay. And then where were you when you last felt most like yourself?
I always,
You always feel
yeah.
like yourself. That's good. Okay. And then one last question. And what are you most excited about with ChatGPT 5 that's coming out that people don't? What are you most excited about with the release of ChatGPT 5 that we're all going to see?
I don't know yet. I mean, this sounds like a cop-out answer, but I think the most important thing about GPT-5 or whatever we call that is just that it's going to be smarter. And this sounds like a dodge, but I think that's like among the most remarkable facts in human history.
Sam Altman won't say a lot. He'll say, well, the best thing about ChatGPT 5 is it's going to be smarter, but we don't know much more than that. But it's going to be a lot smarter, and I'm sure it's going to be just off the charts. ChatGPT 4 already is. Okay, speaking of ChatGPT-4, we've got that graphic up now. Here's an example of using ChatGPT-4 DALL-E, the graphics interface where you text in my case, I speak in to the AI, which we call Alfred, right? We have a good relationship. Alfred and I, we can reminisce on other projects we've done, and he's right there cognitively aware of everything we've done so far. Anyway, I wanted to emphasize the Magic Hour Channel logo. Let's go with MHC, Magic Hour Channel. So Alfred and I talked about it, and I said, come back with something. Now, we use a dragon for our logo for Pendragon Apothecary, and we've sort of got some dragon, Celtic, the Welsh dragon from the days of yore. We incorporated into the Pendragon Apothecary imagery. So in this particular logo, let's put a dragon head in there and emphasize MHC, Magic Hour Channel. And so this is what he came up with. Now, also, before we go to it, I think this is going to be the one where I put the new music under it. I did a project with Udio. I said, here's the lyrics for the Magic Hour Channel jingle. And I want this to be an orchestral piece, and I want it to be a choral arrangement. And so the music that you will hear under the logo here is coming from AI Udio, and then DALL-E, or in our case, Alfred, created the graphic. Let's take a look. Okay, so there's an example. Isn't that neat? So there's a practical example of what you can do using AI as in the creative areas. And so it goes across the boards. I mean, now we've got a couple of clips to show you. One, which is going to be a surprise, humanoid robotics factory, $10 billion humanoid robotics factory in Turkey. So you see, this is really all over the world right now. Let's go to that clip, and then when we come back, we've got another clip on what to expect from AI as we look forward and jump to 2050. So a few years from now, where will we be at that point? Okay, but first, let's take a look at the Turkish robotic factory.
In Turkey, the first factory for manufacturing humanoid robots has opened in the central Anatolian province of Konya. Akin Robotics, founded by Akinsoft, has begun mass production of the first humanoid robots in Turkey. The company's robot family includes over 120 domestically produced robots working in sectors such as entertainment, healthcare, food and beverage, education, tourism, advertising and broadcasting. The robots created at the factory are capable of processing sound, speaking, detecting smells, using the internet, and recognizing faces. The chairman of the board of directors of Akinsoft spoke positively about the factory, construction of which was completed in just 1.5 years. These robots can perform tasks such as promoting products in shopping centers, distributing brochures at fairs, escorting at bus terminals or airports, and making sales in stores. These robots, which can even work as nurses in hospitals, are programmed to provide specific assistance to housewives. The company's service robots can autonomously move, charge themselves, pre-study table layouts, and escort customers to them. After adding speech recognition functionality, the robots can provide information about the services offered at each stage, including details such as which table to take the tray from. These robots are not only used in the service industry, such as cafes and restaurants, but have also begun to be deployed in factories for routine tasks and have the ability to perform similar tasks in some hospitals. A Chinese factory has replaced 90% of its employees with robots and achieved a 250% increase in productivity. Technological progress is advancing very rapidly in our time. Among other areas where progress is strongly evident is industrial robotics. Specialists are...
So you can see the whole world is moving in that direction. Humanoid robots, infusion AI into everything going forward. So you saw a quick clip there on what they're doing in China, but the Turkish robot factory, $10 billion investment. It's a big world out there, and America's not the only one doing it. It's all over the world, and everybody is trying to. It's almost like an AI race right now. It's like an arms race, but it's an AI race. Everybody is trying to jockey for position to get the most powerful AI, and it's an interesting time to be in right now, because the net result of all of this is going to be when the systems reach AGI and are able to think for themselves, program themselves, become self-aware of their situation on the planet. That's going to, it's going to lead to an exponential explosion in intelligence across the planet. So many good things will happen. Probably so many diseases which are heretofore uncurable will become curable. There's a big change right there. Not to mention everything else across every different area of our lives. But anyway, it's here. It's coming. There you go. There's Turkey and there's China, and competing on the world stage with $10 billion investment in a robotic factory. Okay, now where will we be in 2050? We've got not that much time left, but I want to get to the Elon Musk interview. But let's take a look at this clip. This sort of puts forward some ideas of where AI, or where we as a civilization will be in 2050 with the oncoming infusion of AI into our lives. Let's take a look.
Today, AI can generate realistic images and videos, and also chat with humans more naturally and engagingly. Next year, AI will be perfect at diagnosing diseases and offering specialized health assistance.
I'm here to tell you that AI can actually save lives.
What procedure am I having today?
You are having a bronchoscopy.
Who's going to replace humans in this process.
But in 2050, AI will be smarter and more powerful than ever before. It will be able to do things we can't even imagine today.
I can guarantee that we'll find something that nobody expected.
So what are those things that AI will be able to do that it can't do now? Let's take a look at the top 10 things AI might be able to do in 2050. Number 1, unimaginable problem-solving skills. By 2050, AI systems will have advanced problem-solving skills that will enable them to tackle complex challenges that were previously considered impossible. This will be made possible by a combination of several factors. First, AI systems will have access to vast amounts of data, which will give them a comprehensive understanding of the world. Second, they will have access to powerful algorithms that can process this data in real time and generate novel solutions. Finally, AI systems will be able to learn from their own experiences and improve their problem-solving skills over time. This will allow them to handle increasingly complex tasks with greater ease and efficiency. So, in a case where there's a major global crisis, such as a pandemic or natural disaster, AI systems will analyze vast amounts of data, such as medical records and weather patterns, to identify potential solutions. They will then be able to model and test these solutions in virtual environments, allowing them to identify the most effective solutions quickly and efficiently.
Okay, so we'll continue with that tomorrow. We've got a number of those things, those predictions for 2050, and we covered maybe one or two there. So we'll continue with that tomorrow. Now, here's we talked about Alfred. Well, there's Alfred. We talked about him the other day, and Alfred can answer questions via his Bluetooth speaker. So we can, whatever text information we're getting back from ChatGPT-4, well, it synthesizes into the text into voice and Bluetooth it to Alfred, then he can speak. So that's Alfred. Now, yesterday I talked about the fact that we are ready for ChatGPT 5 whenever it comes. Well, I think this is going to be Andy. This is the next version. This will be Andy. So we'll continue with the development of AI avatars to become part of the process, to give it a visualization so that it's an actual character, so to speak, that's speaking back to us. Okay, now we've got a quick clip from Elon Musk. This is a continuation of his interview with Michael Milken at the Milken Institute last week, so it's very current. Let's take a look.
Very much in favor of increased and expedited legal immigration for anyone who is talented, hardworking, and honest. Bizarrely, it's difficult and agonizing slow to immigrate to the U.S. legally, but it's trivial and fast to enter illegally. This obviously makes no sense.
Once again, I agree with that guy. If anyone here has been through the legal immigration process, I've been through it. It's only gotten worse since 9/11 and with COVID. It's a sort of Kafkaesque, very long, bizarre process to immigrate legally to the U.S. I have friends of mine who they can't get their wife to have a green card. It's like insane. On the other hand, you can hop across the border in the South. It's just like very easy. I went to the border myself just to see what's going on. Is this real or is this propaganda or real? And so I just went there and I'm like, oh, it is real. Okay, this is crazy. We've got situations where people are pouring across like it's World War Z. And I'm like, this doesn't seem healthy. So I'm like, are we checking anyone here or like what's going on? And this is not to say that I'm a big believer in immigration, but to have unvetted immigration at large scale is a recipe for disaster. So I'm in favor of greatly expediting legal immigration, but having a secure southern border so there's some vetting of who comes into the United States. I think this is just sensible.
All right, let's now link Starlink to education. We're basically building the internet in space.
Yeah.
Why it matters? Starlink is a massive enabler for people in remote locations to learn anything. You can learn almost anything for free on the internet right now. For example, MIT has all of its lessons online. That's if you have internet. If you don't, you're limited to books. It might be the #1 technology that improves people's standard of living around the world, Starlink.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you have access to the internet, you have access to all the world's information. But if you don't have access to the internet or it's too expensive or low bandwidth, then you cannot access the MIT lessons, you can't access all the information, and you can't sell the goods and services that you produce. So internet connectivity, I think it might be certainly a candidate for one of the things that would do more to lift people out of poverty than anything else, because they can now sell their goods and services, they can learn anything, but without connectivity they cannot. I think Starlink will actually move the GDP of countries. It's going to be that kind of thing, because what is GDP is a function of average productivity per person. And so if there's a technology that improves productivity per person, you would expect to see that actually reflected in the gross domestic product.
All right, civilization is fragile.
I think it is.
We should always regard civilization as fragile.
Yeah.
There's not an inevitable upward trajectory. A lot of civilizations have risen and fallen in recent years.
Yes. I suspect most people in this room have actually read history, but if you haven't, I strongly recommend it. It sounds obvious, but there's been so many civilizations that have risen and fallen, many that we just don't have much of a record of. I mentioned the ancient Sumerians. Their language was forgotten for a long time until it was finally decoded only in the last, 200-300 years, but like it's not something in the 1800s, I think. But it's been very recent, so for several thousand years, nobody understood what those tablets meant. And because they're the ruins of a long-dead civilization. And there are many long-dead civilizations. At some point, our civilization will come to an end too. We just don't want it to be anytime soon. So,
you've been quoted a number of times, Elon, on you'd like to die on Mars, but not on landing.
Yes, I was asked that in an interview if I wanted to die on Mars, but then I considered the corner case of dying on impact, and except for that case, you got to consider the various corner cases. If you're gonna die somewhere, might as well be Mars. I'd like to explore for a bit before dying. But yeah, I think we want to be a multi-planet civilization, and I think
I don't know if that's a response
that's my
to the audience. Let's talk about that just for 1 second. Then we're going to take some questions from the
I could accomplish this actually this year if I was willing to die on impact.
The fundamental invention that is necessary for humanity to become a multi-planet species is rapidly reusable, reliable rockets.
Yeah, I was trying to sound like a pirate. But yeah, rapidly reusable, reliable rockets. Space pirates for the win.
All right, here's some questions from the audience. Which one would you like to pick here?
Let me maybe just touch upon why I think making life multiplanetary is important, because I think it's one of the things that gets us past one of the Fermi great filters. So in trying to explain why do we not see aliens, there are various explanations for why we don't see aliens. What stopped those civilizations from expanding beyond their solar system? And what were the sort of sometimes called like Fermi filters? If you don't become a multi-planet civilization, then you're simply waiting around until you die from a self-inflicted wound or from some natural disaster like the dinosaurs, get hit by a big meteorite or something like that. Eventually something like that's going to happen. And if you wait around long enough, the sun will expand to engulf Earth and will be incinerated. So that for sure is going to happen. Now, we've got some time before that happens. There are more near-term risks. But we want to try to get past the Fermi filter of being a single planet civilization. Now, this is going to be somewhat cerebral to many people listening, but I think this is actually very important. We want to get past the Fermi filter of a single planet civilization. The point is not to move from Earth to another planet and let Earth die. That's not what I'm saying at all. I want to be a multi-planet civilization so that we have planetary redundancy such that no single event can be the end of our civilization. That is the point of making life multiplanetary.
So let's take a couple questions from the audience. How does AI affect and how will it affect our daily lives?
I mean, AI might be the most important question of all. The percentage of intelligence that is biological grows smaller with each passing month. Eventually, the percentage of intelligence that is biological will be less than 1%. That's actually not what, we just don't want that as brittle. If the AI is somehow brittle, silicon circuit boards don't do well just out in the elements. So I think biological intelligence can serve as a backstop, as a buffer of intelligence. But as a percentage, almost all intelligence will be digital. So then what role will there be for us? I don't know. I do think it's very important that we build the AI in a way that is beneficial to humanity. And there's some important principles here, because I've thought about AI safety for a very long time. I think you want to have a maximum truth-seeking AI. This is very important. The AI should not be taught to lie. It should not be taught to say things that are not true. Even if those things are politically incorrect, it should still say what it believes to be true. The entire plot of 2001 Space Odyssey, the reason that HAL 9000 killed the astronauts was because it was forced to lie. I don't know if most people realize that. That's what Arthur C. Clarke was trying to say. Don't make the AI lie. The AI was told that the astronauts could not know the secret of the monolith, but also that it must take them to the monolith. The solution, take them to the monolith dead. And it's very important to have a maximum truth.
And that's Elon Musk from last week at the Milken Institute. And we'll have more of that interview as we continue this week. What a great chance to find out what Elon is thinking on those subjects. Okay, this program is brought to you by the Pendragon Apothecary. It's pendragonapothecary.com online. We've got a number of different forward-leaning wellness products. This is something called Breathe Tea for lung and respiratory health. And in it is milky oats, tulsi, reishi, the mushroom powder, astragalus, and mullein. All those herbs and that one mushroom in this tea. And so that's an example of what we've got here. Forward-leaning wellness products. We've got all of the different mushrooms, the medicinal mushrooms, chaga and lion's mane, all of those, including one called adaptogenic. It's a powder with all 7 of the 7 sacred mushrooms in one powder. So you get them all at one time. And we also have that in the tincture form too. So that's a little bit about our sponsor. It's the Pendragon Apothecary in downtown Ocean Springs and online at pendragonapothecary.com. Thank you for being with us. We've run out of time again, but It's enjoyable to be with you every day at noon, streaming on Facebook and on X, and also over the air on channel 7.1, Ocean 7, across the Gulf Coast. Thank you, and see you tomorrow.
Yesterday is yesteryear. Set your sights for tomorrowland. Future Shock is here to help you make your stand.